Find more great shows or join the team at sport-social.co.uk.
Hello, welcome back to the Mastercasting Manchester United Tactical Podcast. I'm your host, Haider Rubbani, and I'm joined by Rob Blanchette as always. Guys, make sure you give us a follow on at TF Masterclass, give myself a follow on at Haider_Rubbani, give Rob a follow on at _Rob_B. Rob, 1-1 at Chelsea, champions of Europe. I thought the first half wasn't particularly good. Jadon Sancho got his first goal, so that's a positive. But that second half genuinely was one of my favorite. I say that 20 to 25 minute spell after halftime was one of my favorite performances this season in a long time. A little glimpse into the gegenpressing that we're going to see under Ralph Rangnick. There are signs to be positive, aren't there?
Very much so. I loved the whole 90 minutes of it. Why did I love it? Because even 20 minutes before, I was still loving it. Looking at the system, looking at the shape, looking at where players were going to play. Playing a system that we will now play going forward progressively, week after week after week. Playing good football. Now, I know that we look at this, you say in the first half, it might have looked a little bit messy, and it did. But Man United have never played a 4-3-3 false nine, ever. I can't remember when United have played this system. But this is Rangnick's system. This was Rangnick's first game in charge. I know Carrick was taking it, but this had all of the fingerprints of the German absolutely all over it. I loved it. I loved it because United were competitive for 90 minutes. They fought, they pressed, they set traps, they got forward. You know, it wasn't the most free-flowing football, but this is what it's all about. When Jadon Sancho got that ball and ran the length of the pitch with Rashford together, I was like, this is what it's all about. Win the ball high up and run and get it and put it in the back of the net. It's not the most cultured football, but this is what gegenpressing teams play, and it can be really massively effective.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a comment here from Doru saying, actually disappointed in the draw. I was quite disappointed. I felt like, although Chelsea dominated the first half for me, Rob, let's talk about the setup first, but we'll talk about it because we both differ on the first half. You know, I messaged you saying, I wasn't particularly happy with the first half. You're really happy with it. But the setup, 4-3-3, we saw the big news, Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench. We'll talk about him in more detail. Bruno Fernandes in the false nine position. You had the back four, three in midfield, and Matic, Fred, and McTominay. What were your thoughts on that? Because I looked at it straight away. I thought, right, Man United are going to press. They're going to be more fluid. They're going to work harder off the ball. They're going to try and implement the gegenpress. So, the counter press, for example, when the ball goes onto the left-hand side, Tellez would push up. They'd swarm almost, wouldn't they? First half, I didn't see us doing that as well. Second half, we did that. But all in all, for me, it was a case of Ronaldo was probably dropped for this system. Carrick probably was on the blower to Rangnick saying, this is what we're going to do today. And we've been saying Bruno Fernandes is a false nine. I thought he was poor on the ball, but out of possession, I thought that front three did really well today.
Yeah, and do you know what? I've been calling for it on the show for a long time, but you put the team before individuals. So I'm not really bothered about whether Bruno played well today, or Rashford individually, or Sancho, or Ronaldo came on and did anything. It's about the system, and did the system work? The system worked from minute one. It did. It worked. It put Chelsea off. Chelsea couldn't do the things that they wanted to do. And Chelsea had the most of the game. Let's be honest. Chelsea were probably the better team on the day over the 90 minutes. But this is a Manchester United team coming from a completely different place, Haider. This is a Manchester United team that have had no tactics all season long and are now really having to reboot their season. So when they took the kickoff at the start of the game, for me, that was the start of a new season. This is the beginning. So after 45 minutes, I was just happy to see United press, to work hard, to have a plan, and to have a shape. And that 4-3-3, considering that they've never played it before, I thought in the first 45 minutes they did it okay. A little bit messy, but when you've got three midfielders behind three forwards, and they've never done that kind of meshing before, setting traps, which is something that you have to practice a lot, weeks and months to kind of get correct. The fact that they did set traps and they did win the ball high up, Chelsea didn't play through midfield at all. Chelsea really struggled. Once Chelsea did get on the back line, then you were a bit worried about Lindelof, a little bit worried about Bailly, a little bit worried about Telles. Aaron Wan-Bissaka needs to find a brain and attach it in his head somewhere so actually play football. But he wasn't the only one in that situation at times making mistakes. But overall, this was all about Rangnick. Yeah, you just said that Carrick ran Rangnick. I don't think so. Rangnick ran Carrick and said, this is my football. I want to see it, and this is what I want you to do. And it's like managing the team on a training ground, but have never actually visited the training ground yet. It was pure Rangnick. And I'm excited. Like, you can see it maybe in the way I'm talking, because I'm so bored of seeing 4-2-3-1 not work. And I'm seeing other systems, 4-5-1. We've talked about 3 at the back until we're blue in the face. Those systems have not worked for Manchester United. I really do think this 4-3-3, I think they stumbled over something today. I think Bruno's the false 9. I see in the comments there people saying, Rob, you've been calling for it for a year. Absolutely. Bruno Fernandes has to start as the false 9 of this team. And that means, unfortunately, everyone's boy Ronaldo, he can't start. So they made that decision today, and I think it paid off.
Yeah, I think it paid off as well, Rob. There's a good comment here, and I do want to give Fred some appreciation, because I thought Fred was fantastic today. We saw Fred do the things we want to see Fred do. I mean, look, at the end, if he got that correctly at the end, and actually giving it to, I think it was it Bruno or Ronaldo? We could be sitting here talking about Manchester United. Lingard, yeah, a 2-1 victory. But he was fantastic. And something that I did like about Fred, though, is the way he was winning the ball back. They all were in midfield. Matic was providing the anchor, and then you had McTominay and Fred who were working hard. And the issue for me in that first half was United were abysmal in possession. It's not something that we've said, or something we've said continuously this season. But once they got that goal, and Jadon Sancho, I want to talk about him today. I want to talk about that goal specifically, because you saw the way that Sancho and Rashford chased up, and if you work hard and you gamble like they did on Jorginho, you get rewarded. And I absolutely love that goal. Sancho with a beautiful feet, finishing to the bottom corner, running to the United fans in the away end. It's fantastic. Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford are very, very key. Those two wide men in the system are very, very key to, they're that first line of press, aren't they? If they don't work hard, and we saw when Ronaldo came on that there was a dip in that, they don't work hard, this whole system goes to pot.
Yeah, and it's important to understand what gegenpressing is and what counter-pressing is, because it is not your 2 banks of 3. It's not really 2 waves. So it's not like the first 3 go and the next 3 go. It doesn't work like that. It's setting traps. So it's making sure that if you want to exploit the left back, that you set the trap in the middle, you make the ball go that way, and then you trap through midfield. So that's why it changes week to week to week. The best team that do it is Liverpool. Liverpool do it week after week. And what you saw today was Manchester United doing their best Liverpool impression. So that 3 and a 3 at the front was all about how do you trap. I've seen here as well people saying, Bruno wasn't very good on the ball. He was dropping deep, etc., etc. No, in the press and in the trap, he was doing his job. He was there to try and make sure that that ball was going to certain players, and then making Chelsea either go long, which they did now and then, but that doesn't help Chelsea, certainly not with Lukaku not on the pitch. But it made Chelsea alter their game plan. And Tuchel said at the start of the day, he said, it looks like Bruno Fernandes might be a false 9, but I'm not going to preempt that. Well, he knew what that meant. And that meant that his team were going to have a lot less time on the ball. Man United, one of their big issues this year is they give teams hours on the ball. That's what they do. They sit off, they don't press, they jog. I think you saw today as well with Marcus, and we saw with Jadon with the goal. It was fantastic. But you saw that they've not started games. Their fitness levels are not quite up here yet. So it's hard to play gegenpressing. It's hard to do that, to be on the front foot all the time. But I'll tell you what, in weeks to come, when they've trained under Rangnick for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, this team is going to be really aggressive. It's going to be on the opposition. And I think if United get the ball in what you call in basketball, the mid-court, so I'm talking the halfway line, if you get it on the mid-court, you only need one pass and you're in. Like we just said there, if Fred uses his brain in that 87th minute and just slides Lingard in, it's an open shot on the penalty spot. You win the game 2-1. And we're talking about something completely different here. So I feel as good as if Man United won today, because I've suddenly saw intentions. We've not seen these intentions from this Manchester United team before.
It's important to differentiate. And I've seen people, comment on Twitter, where did you see the gegenpress? And that's the thing. I think people are mixing up are pressing, first wave and second wave press with the gegenpress. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the traps, Rob, because, Cohen's got a good comment here. We took the central midfielder out of the game, pushed them wide. They were not good.
Yeah.
Chelsea's strength is in those wide areas, isn't it? Reece James hardly got sniffed today. You saw Alonso didn't really as well. What Manchester United did well, and the differentiation between that, first and second wave press and the gegenpress is that they swarm to that, that left-hand side, for example, or the right-hand side. The fullbacks have to push up, and they're basically trying to get them to pass the ball into the midfielder, and then they're trying to cut the ball out, and then they go for goals. So that's differentiation. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so counter pressing is about forcing your opponent to do something your opponent doesn't want to do. So if Chelsea set up against a Man United 4-2-3-1, what are they going to do? Well, you know that Reece James is going to bomb forward. He's going to probably get no opposition until he gets to the penalty box. You're going to see that Alonso will play on the front foot. So then what do United do? Well, they counter that by playing a low block. I had people tweeting me, I've seen there saying United played a low block. United did not play a low block today. It wasn't a low block. So in the bottom, at the end of the game, yes, they were sitting deep. They were trying to soak stuff up to make sure they didn't lose the game or lose another goal. But the intention from the start of the game was to set traps. So some of the traps worked. It mostly worked, I think, on the right-hand side where Sancho was. I think Rashford was jogging a little bit too much at times, maybe not quite mentally the kind of triggered into doing his job. But I'm sure that's fine. That will improve as Rangnick comes in and teaches this. But it's something that you have to be mentally switched onto and physically. And the whole thing with gegenpressing is that it's quite a vague term. Is what is a press? Well, like we just said there, it's not that kind of all-encompassing 6 people just running forward, which I think is what United fans have seen before from United. So maybe think about Man City, where we've played them. Yeah. We've played high lines. That's what it is. Your front line goes high, your second wave goes high, and you crowd the space. You don't allow them to play that Cruyffism football from out of the back. You affect their game plan. With Chelsea are kind of a gegenpressing team. That's what it is. So United matched them pound for pound. But I think in terms of pressing today, Chelsea were poor. United were good. United were good with the press. And Chelsea didn't really know how to kind of work around it. So they weren't winning the ball in midfield. Like just saying there, Scott McTominay was man of the match. The reason why he was man of the match was because he was the guy winning that battle in the center of the pitch. You do not have to be a beautiful ball player to play the counter press. What you have to do is be energetic, meet the ball, win the ball, and get the ball off quickly. I thought Matic did that well today. He's like little flicks and kicks in the middle of the pitch and running in little dribbles. And I thought, it's not what we're used to seeing with Matic. But it shows that if a player is given a task, if they can mentally work it out, then it can work. And I think Rangnick, when he comes into the club, he'll be able to teach a lot of this stuff very, very quickly. It's what Michael Carrick said last week about players taking on new ideas, and suddenly just the communication works and the ideas then translate into tactics.
Rob, let's move on to Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo started on the bench. Surprising selection by Michael Carrick. I sort of praised Carrick actually showing, he showed the guts, the balls to do that, to be honest with you. He did. He dropped Cristiano Ronaldo. A lot of people saying, he's played a couple of games. He's 36 years old. But I saw it as a tactical decision today. We saw Ronaldo come on. I was quite surprised that Ronaldo did come on. I wasn't, if that makes sense. I was surprised because I didn't think there was any need for him really to come on. United lost a lot of energy when he came on. I felt like United lost a lot of energy when Sancho came off, even when Rashford came off as well. I mean, look, they looked tired as well.
Yeah, they had to go.
They had to come off. But you did lose. You did see that step down, didn't you, from energy-wise? When
you lost a bit, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that Chelsea grew into the game after that. But Cristiano Ronaldo, the question really is, can he play in this system? That we don't know yet. I'm going to say that we don't know because Rangnick hasn't come in. He hasn't coached his side. I'm sure Rangnick, a coach who's of his ilk, is going to be able to find a solution. But what you did see today, though, is that front three works so hard. And Ronaldo isn't going to put that level of work that those three do.
If Rangnick comes in and plays a 4-4-2 diamond, which he has done before, or even a 4-5-1, where the striker can sit in the shape a little bit more, and in a 4-4-2 diamond, he has a partner, so someone like Cavani, then I think Ronaldo can play. What you're not going to see is Rangnick change his systems for Ronaldo. So he's not going to say against Chelsea, who play this kind of high press themselves, oh yeah, I just got to fit Ronaldo in, so I'm going to have a system around Ronaldo. He won't do that. He's going to say, I'm going to pick the right system for football, for footballing terms. And that's what I want. It's what I've been crying out for, a manager to do that. I backed Ole all the way, yeah. But once Ole this season started to not really pick his systems on football and was picking them on individuals, so, you know, Bruno, looking at obviously Ronaldo as well, that's all well and good because Ronaldo's the Don, the guy, the icon. But like today, Haider, you can't pick it just so Ronaldo's the guy that is on the end of the stick, you know, when you actually get the ball into the box. If United had played Ronaldo today and played 4-2-3-1, they'd have had 2 shots on target and they'd have lost 3-0. That's what would have happened. So systems do look after the result, you know, and I think that's the way when United played it, that it took Chelsea 45 minutes to work it out, first and foremost. And the next 45 minutes, Chelsea were trying to be more offensive, but that then was leaving spaces. That helped Fred and McTominay win the ball, you know, in better areas. And of course, the goal is pure counter-attack, isn't it? You win, you come out fast, you expose Jorginho, who wants an extra touch on the ball. He knows there's 2 coming at him. So he actually understands he has to control that ball well and move it along. What does he do? He miscontrols it. You're away. You're in. You score a goal. So I think the tactics and the strategy were really, really good today. And that's something that United haven't executed all season long. I think Villarreal as well, when they beat them, tactics and strategy were good. So another uptick for Michael Carrick. And I think it shows that Michael Carrick will be able to operate with Ralf Rangnick pretty well. You know, I think he's an expansive mind. And maybe it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that was holding back the kind of football that Michael Carrick would like to see played.
Rob, it was reported in The Athletic, actually. I was going to bring up this point because there's a lot of fans. We're going to talk about the fan base right now as well, Rob, you know, as the last topic on today's podcast. Guys, as always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get any questions that you have in, any tactical questions. We'll look to answer them today. But, Rob, that is something that did come out in The Athletic, that Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick did want to play at 3 at the back, and they were overruled by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Mike Phelan, purely because of the fact, obviously, that the coaches, McKenna and Carrick, they wanted to play that because of the midfield situation. But I see a lot of fans say, oh, get McKenna, get Carrick out. I have absolutely, honestly, I think Phelan should go, but I have no issue with those 2 young coaches being in the coaching setup as long as they're with someone like Rangnick. They're not there running the training sessions like they were under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. McKenna is very, very highly rated, but he's also very experienced. Michael Carrick as well, very inexperienced. But both Carrick has shown, hasn't he, that he has got something about him. He has got some tactical nous. He does know how to set up a team and have a bit of structure and have some balance. So let's talk about that a little bit, because there's a lot of fans just like rip it out, get them all out. They're all rubbish. But actually, we're seeing in the last 2 or 3 games that Manchester United do have a strategy, like you said, and they're not useless, are they?
Well, Michael Carrick's been a coach for 5 years. So it's not like he's a newborn baby who's been doing it 2 minutes. So he's done all his studying. He's done all his work. He worked under Mourinho. Mourinho's highly complimentary of Carrick's tactical acumen. So it's about if the guy can go and do it with the new guy. So it's up to Rangnick, isn't it? That I'm happy to not really comment on that stuff. I'm all right. If you're going to say to someone like Rangnick, come in for 2.5 years and fix these things, leave it up to him. It's not up to fans, not up to us. We're not on the training pitch. It's up to Rangnick to go, yeah, that guy fits my philosophy, and that's all good. It's a little bit like the Pochettino Ten Hag question. People are already getting upset. The guys who will love Ten Hag are getting really upset because it's looking like he's not going to pick Ten Hag, because Ten Hag is a Cruyffism coach. You know, possession football in the other half of the pitch, doesn't really play a high press, can go up the pitch, but doesn't play that gegenpressing style, doesn't set traps. People are getting upset already. You've not even seen Ralf Rangnick yet. You've not even seen him in the United dugout. Calm down. Wait until you see some of it. So I think today that even though the manager wasn't there, we just saw the kind of a snippet, didn't we, of what could this be like in the weeks ahead, and who is going to benefit in those systems. So I think that's the other side of it, is that today you've got to remember United had 3 of the back 4 out. Yeah, they're 3 of the back 4 out, and they changed their main striker up top, who is the only guy who scored goals this season. And they very nearly beat Chelsea. And they would have beaten Chelsea by merit. I think if you'd scored that goal right at the end, all the tactics, all of the system would have been 100% justified. I'm interested reading the comments as they flick through. I don't generally read them as I'm talking to you. I know, like, Haider asked me questions, all this. But it's interesting to see how people see tactics on a football pitch differently. Some people don't see the press, or some people might only look at 1 or 2 or 3 players and think, what's that player doing? You saw today how those two guys that have played the double pivot all season long and since the start of time, McFred, do different things in a 4-3-3. Most United fans don't believe that those two guys can do that job. And today they showed that they could. So it doesn't mean they're the greatest. Doesn't mean that they're world class. They're certainly not. You can go and get better midfielders than that. But they probably justified why they started over Donny van der Beek. And all I had at the start of the day was, Donny van der Beek's not in the team. I'm sick of all that. It's got to be about Man United. And I trust this new coach to come in and implement a good new way for Manchester United.
It's like this comment here, Rob. The narratives that go around in the fan base here, stupid narratives of players throwing Ollie under the bus is still doing the rounds on Twitter. It's just silly things like that. You're absolutely spot on about the Ten Hag thing. We put out a video today, didn't we, of Ten Hag, and if you guys haven't checked it out as well, we had Karen Tejwani who wrote Wings of Change. Definitely check that out, guys. If you want to learn more about the Red Bull model, some of Rangnick's principles, what he'll bring to Manchester United. I mean, Karen he's very, very knowledgeable. He's written a book on it, so please do check that out. But Rob, something that, we released a video saying that Karen said that he reckons Pochettino's a better fit after than Ten Hag, and just the uproar and the neuroticism that always happens. And this is the issue as well. The new manager hasn't come in through the door, but when we're looking at this as well, I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see, I don't care what the personnel is, as long as Manchester United are solid, they have a plan, they have a strategy, they work as a unit, they work hard, they win football matches. So at the end of the day, if the midfield is Fred, McTominay, Matic, it won't be going forward. We need to upgrade. There does need to be some quality in there. But if that is the midfield that wins Manchester United matches, why does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Why is it? Why does a fan base have to get so upset and annoyed about it? It just doesn't make sense. And then even today, Rob, look. Me and you both disagree. First off, I thought Manchester United were shocking on the ball. You really enjoyed it, but I thought off the ball in terms of the pressing, I could see what United want to do. I could see something different. People just saying how rubbish this is, and it's just like it's either one extreme or another. As a fan base, we just need to maybe be a bit patient. A new manager is coming in. It's going to take a bit of time to implement this with the players. These aren't bad players. I mean, there's a great comment here from Alan saying that that was the first time in a long time that he thought the midfield outplayed their opponents, especially given it was three of the most disliked midfielders according to many fans. Totally. And he has another great comment here, Alan, saying it's been very interesting how the fringe players, Eric Bailly, for example, who was fantastic today, Rob, I thought, had a really good game. Sancho, Van der Beek, Matic, Telles, Lingard have given very solid starts and or energetic cameos in the last two games. The problem is that if a fan doesn't have the player that they want or the manager that they want, they just throw the toys out the pram. It's just silly and it's childish.
Yeah, again, I know I've given a million NBA analogies over the years doing my work in football, but I'm going to give you one more. And that is that basketball is based on superstars and football has gone that way. So you get, obviously, United. A lot of people now watch United. For what reason? Because of Ronaldo. They love Ronaldo, so they've got to watch Man United. They might never have watched Man United before, but if they're going to tune in today, they don't want to see a 30-minute cameo from their superstar hero. So that drives traffic. That gets people upset and wound up on one thing or another. I saw one person tweet me earlier on, just a quick tweet as it went through, and said, "You can't drop Ronaldo. You just can't. He's the best player. You can't drop him." So if we operate on that premise forever, Man United are going to get relegated because that's how bad they've been this year. They've actually been in relegation form, haven't they? Kind of almost bottom five in terms of their stats and their performances. You've got to change that. You've got to make progressive changes. Now, the problem for Rangnick is that he's coming in to a team that's played dysfunctional football now for a period of time, but have been forced to play it. And what I mean by that is that if you bring Ronaldo in, the Glazers are going to say, play Ronaldo. That's what the Glazers want. That's their cash cow. Put him the shirt on him and play him because that's what we want. What the Glazers have realised, I think, now in the last few weeks is that doesn't work. It makes your football project fundamentally broken and you have to find another way. So it's not a surprise to me. Well, it is a little bit of a surprise, but it's not a surprise deep down that today they dropped Ronaldo for this kind of game. Because if you play 4-2-3-1 or something like that with Ronaldo, you probably lose. It doesn't matter if Ronaldo scores or looks good or scores a hat-trick, you'll probably still lose the game. And that's what it's about. So I think that Rangnick, it won't be perfect when he comes in. Like, we're going to see lots of hiccups. We might see defeats. We might see issues. I know you just said there you didn't enjoy the first half. I enjoyed it simply because of the intention. If we'd lost 3-0 today, I still would have enjoyed it. If we'd got that performance out of them and that intention, I would go, do you know what? It's the right direction. No matter what, I can take the defeat. I'm a grown man. I'm all right with it. I can get on with my life. But that's how it goes. You know what I mean? It's like results are important, but what is much more important now is that Man United find an identity. And we haven't had one for too long. And Rangnick, hopefully, he's not coming in for 6 months. I really, really hope he's going to be with us for 6 years or longer. Let's let him have this project. Let make it like he did with Red Bull and find a new way for United.
Rob, sort of a final word. I'm going to bring up this question here. You know, it's about Maguire. Is Maguire a good candidate for the press when he's back? I kind of want to bring up something which I've taken from this game. This is my final word about today. And it is that Rangnick won't be scared to drop the big names. Ronaldo didn't play today. We're talking about, that's why I brought Maguire into this. We're talking about Maguire. Maguire's been poor all season. I don't think Rangnick would be scared to drop him. You know, you might see Victor Lindelof play a bit more. You might see Eric Bailly play a bit more. We've got Rafa Varane still to come back. That's what I've taken away, that what this manager will do when he comes in is that he will pick the best players for that system that will do the job and it will benefit the team. And I think that's what Man United fans now need to take forward going forward, because for too long we've had a team of individuals, a team of stars, a team of Galacticos, and that's to do with the people upstairs, Rob. That's to do with the owners. Yeah. It's to do with Ed Woodward. But now finally, I think we're going to be going towards a footballing project. You know, football is important. I'm excited. I really am excited. And I think that while Man United might lose next week against Arsenal, I don't expect it to be plain sailing. To get these guys gegenpressing is going to be tough. It's not going to be easy without a pre-season. But I'm excited, and I think that there's definitely cause to be optimistic.
Right, firstly, if we see that system again, the 4-3-3 false 9 system that we saw today at Chelsea, if Maguire is fit, if Varane is fit, and if Shaw is fit, they all play. They all will play that system better than the players that were in there today, 100%. Because it's not about, when you say about pressing, it's about the line. So Maguire loves to play a high line. It's his favourite style of football. Get the ball on a halfway line and break into the space. That's what he wants to do. Luke Shaw's favourite way of playing is playing high up the pitch. No issues. Varane, of course, is then going to be your screener, someone that can look after the ball in those areas. So those three start fundamentally 100%. Then your choice is to play either Bruno Fernandes as a false 9 or Donny van de Beek as the false 9. You're going to have to play an attacking midfielder in there. You might have to play Jadon Sancho in there. He would happily play a false 9 system. And then that allows you to bring in maybe someone like Greenwood on the right-hand side and keep Rashford on the left. So you finally might see that system that I talked about at the start of the season, about the 3 guys at the top. So I feel good about all of that. Today shows me that that's what the intention will be. I'm not interested if Ronaldo plays or doesn't play. I'm really not. If Ronaldo plays and does the system and does the work, cheers, Cristiano. That's all. All I care about is that the work gets done, and that's really, I think, how United fans have to think now.
He's still, Rob. He's still going to contribute. Like the comment says here, there's loads of games to come up.
He's going to contribute, but like you said there, why did he come on today? I'm sure the conversation would have gone along the lines of, Cristiano, you're not starting today, but we'll definitely give you half an hour. So they gave him half an hour, and I thought in that half an hour he was just pointless. He didn't do anything in terms of that press. The energy levels completely dropped up top. Now, that's also understandable for the team because the team is tired at that point and counter-pressing is a difficult system to play. But I think Ronaldo will only start games when they play a 4-4-2 diamond. So he's got Cavani doing that work with him at the top or someone like that, or maybe Greenwood. So in a 4-3-3, I do not really see Ronaldo starting. But I do also think that Rangnick will find ways around that if Ronaldo is giving him cutting-edge service in the final third. You saw today, I think United didn't really, like once or 20 minutes ago, all of that kind of play on the edge of their box broke down. Like United were not getting the ball in those areas anymore. It's because they weren't pushing high up the pitch and setting any traps. Ronaldo finds it hard to set traps. Just not his game. He's not into it. So if Rangnick can sort that out with Cristiano, and I'm sure they'll sit down and have a big long chat about it and a cup of tea, then great. But as it stands today, Rangnick always talks about young players. He always talks about their fitness levels and about their willingness to learn. Can you teach an old dog new tricks? I think Cristiano just wants the ball at his feet in and around the box. That's what he wants because he's so good at it. Do you know what I mean? The best in the world at it. He scores goals. But you can't stand still and watch the play go by. If you do that, you see then that your midfield gets hurt. the three guys behind the attack are then scrambling. And I think we saw that towards the end, that United got deeper and deeper and deeper. McTominay and Matic were almost centre-backs, and then they were in a low block because they're kind of panicking because they're not getting the ball in the right areas. And that was the end of that. But saying all of that, I thought we saw a load of really, really good stuff today. Maybe a bit messy at times, but I hope that when the manager comes in, we'll see a lot more balance. And I'm just crazy about the intent. I just saw loads of intent today from Man United. And we should have won that game. Fred passes that ball properly to Jesse. Jesse finishes that. And we're talking about a great 2-1 victory at the champions of Europe and the team who are the best team in the Premier League at the moment. I think we could have really nicked this today, and we would have deserved it.
Considering where we've been the last, 3 months or so of this season, I think that's a really good result for us, and it's something to build upon. Rob, I mean, you got anything to say before we wrap up?
Just one more on that comment. I've seen the comments there about Maguire, and we've got to dispel all of this kind of strange allure around certain players. Is that your centre back doesn't press; he just holds the line. He's not pressing anyone. That's not how United are going to play. United are going to press from the top, and then the midfield are going to set traps. So it's about the defenders man marking or keeping the forwards in front of them. Maguire will do that all day long. Like, Maguire's had a bad season, but he's not a bad footballer. This is the whole thing. Now it's about making sure that you get the most out of him. And what you'll see is that when Maguire gets the ball, he will drive into the midfield. He'll almost play like a midfielder, as a defensive midfielder for Rangnick. And that will suit Harry Maguire down to the ground. Just wait and see, guys. That's what I'm just going to say. Don't start guessing and thinking this, that, or the other, or you love this player, or like there's people who love Bailly. Oh, Bailly's, my guy, and I want to see him play more. Just wait. Let's see what happens now in these next few games. And we'll see if they can play Rangnick football. I think a few of them will be able to.
Absolutely. Positivity, Rob. I'm looking forward to
100%.
What's in store. But look, guys, thanks so much for joining us. As I mentioned during the podcast, do check out the interview I did with Karan Tajwani. It was absolutely fantastic. Great insight into Rangnick's academy, how he structures the academy. As Rob mentioned a little bit earlier, the young players, the reason why he chooses young players. He's got this formula as well, how he grades players. I mean, it's all nerdy stuff that we love here on the masterclass. Make sure you give myself on give us a follow on at TF Masterclass, give myself on at Haider_Rubbani, and give Rob a follow on at _Rob_B. Have a lovely rest of the weekend, and we'll see you all next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.